This video is entitled Gender Madness. Somehow, within the past few years, a large number of people and several organizations have been gaslighted into believing that their own existence is not real. They grew up knowing that they were a boy or a girl, but at some point they were persuaded by what they heard from others that there was flexibility to this fact. Their very existence was dependent on a mother and a father, but this indisputable fact was somehow allowed to be blurred in their minds. Mental gymnastics. It became a fashion to assert that despite outward physical attributes, that they were actually inside someone of the opposite sex. The blurring was caused by using the word gender to denote their physical reproductive capability and also how they would perform sexually. People with money could afford the astronomical cost involved in making the outward appearance fit what they identified as, but this was not the case for the average person. However, there is this impulse in the West to imitate whatever the wealthy do, and in that way share in the rarefied atmosphere that they exist in. Keeping up with the Joneses, but in this way, but more like keeping up with the Pritzkers. Yet the question remains, how can an individual possibly know what it felt like to be someone of the opposite sex, except in their imaginations, or by the information they gathered from listening to other people? The first famous person that underwent surgery to appear in the guise of the opposite sex that I know of was Cher's daughter. I saw in photos of her with Cher after she had undergone the transformation that it was not a pretty sight. She was short and overweight and had an unhappy expression on her face. I have not seen any photos of her for decades. She just dropped out of sight of the media. Unlike Cher, whom I still see from time to time, most recently in a TV special that was a tribute to Carol Burnett. Cher looked fabulous with a gold outfit. She was still slim and gorgeous. Where is her daughter? I would like to see her as well. There was a long gap where there were no very famous people who decided to change their appearance from the one they were born with and grew up to, until Bruce Jenner, who was an ex-Olympic athlete married to the mother of the famous Kardashians. Bruce, at 65, decided he wanted to be adventurous and see if he could compete for fame and beauty with the female members of his family. Even at 60, he could not subdue his competitive spirit, so he took the plunge. Many in the entertainment world and the media were just thrilled to feature him in their stories, on the covers of their magazines, and one group even gave him the award of Woman of the Year. How outrageous. The madness was now not only in the heads and hearts of the person who underwent the surgeries and hormone treatments, but in the society that was hungry for the unusual and the ridiculous. This was the flowering of a psychosis that I can only describe as gender madness. Like Cher's daughter, Bruce does not often appear, although he does give his opinion from time to time, or appears briefly, I guess when he wants to make the effort to put on makeup and have his hair done professionally. Most men are not really eager to make a lot of effort in their appearance. There are some men who have appeared on talk shows and others who make regular YouTube videos that really do look like women. However, they are too sensible when they speak, and then the speed in which they express their opinions is unlike women, because they cannot really perceive the workings of the average female mind. As someone who studies psychology and is older, I perceive that the people that change their outward appearance should have received appropriate counseling to accept themselves as they are. We are human beings first, not sex objects. We are hardwired to a reproductive purpose. But if someone feels that they can change their purpose they're born with, it only makes them this other person or this other sex in their own minds. Our reproductive purpose remains the same. If someone other than themselves persuade them that can be any different, that they can really actually become someone of the opposite sex, they have a motive that is not for the benefit of the individual. They have not helped them to accept themselves. Often people do not accept themselves for various reasons. However, as we mature, we come to accept the aptitudes we are born with, because we do not just think of our reproductive capacity and the extent to which we like ourselves or others like us. With maturity, we can come to an internal locus of control. We can be creative creatures, expanding our talents, and achieving self-esteem by what we create, rather than just what we look like, which is usually the goal of women. Women are very interested in what they look like and not men. Our sex is not seen as the main focus of our lives. Our bodies are just seen as a physical vessel to achieve our creative goals. Do we have to be either male or female to be a great artist, a great writer, or an architect? No. So it is all to do with the outward appearance that would cause someone to want to change their gender, or really what the sexual attributes that they want others to see. Unfortunately, we live in a world of corrupt people who will exploit our insecurities to benefit themselves, such as pharmaceutical companies and the medical community. And quite a few have been misled. Our culture has now been persuaded to be advocates for gender madness, from the President of the United States to the neighborhood Starbucks, leaving people who see it for what it is in appalled amazement. What alarms me the most is that the elected government, which is supposed to protect us all, is supporting anomalies and condemning the norm. This norm is the natural way of life of human beings and has always been so. Animals live in pairs or mate, so to propose that somehow something else must be accepted and glorified in humans is totally outrageous and abhorrent. There is only one conclusion to come to. There are forces behind this movement. There are other forces behind this movement. Some are with money and influence. Another aspect to consider is what is the motivation. I can only deduce that those who support such outrageous goals as transgenderism are either fooled because they lack information or critical thinking skills, or both, or they believe that they will be in positions of power that will satisfy some perverted paradigm of life. Turning the norm upside down is reminiscent of the practice of black magic, where the rituals directly contradict Christian morals, appeal to evil forces instead of God to achieve their aims remotely, and engage in blood sacrifices involving small children. A large part of the rituals is depraved sexual practices, which all fits with the current emphasis on such behavior in the transgender movement. Thank you for watching, and I hope this has helped you to come to the correct conclusions about the situation we're in today.